Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens, Eagle Gardens One on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 627. How you guys doing tonight? Hopefully, you guys have had a great Saturday. I've had a pretty good day myself. Looking forward to catching up with this gentleman, ATG, or otherwise known as Aaron the Grower. How you doing, my friend? You want to tell them how you're doing, and of course, where they can find you?
Hell yeah. Thank you, Eagle. Yes, I'm doing great, man. I took a nap today to make sure I did this and was alive for it because usually I'm an early sleep kind of guy, an early rise kind of guy. But I am Aaron the Grower. I'm really happy to be here. ATGacres.com, ATG Acres on Instagram, and shoot, anybody can shoot me an email or DM if they have any questions.
Right on, man. Well, I'm looking forward to catching up with you, man. Since the last time I seen you, a lot has happened for sure. Uh, Definitely living the dream. Now, I wouldn't say it's an easy one, but a very commendable or admirable one for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, and that is very well said, man. I appreciate the kind words. It's a lot of hard work. I basically just spent 6 months with my head down and didn't socialize, just worked my ass off and got this place built. And there's a lot of pride in that, right? I built this everything from the basically other than the metal building that the grow is in. I built all the walls. I hung the rafters. I hung, put the lights together and hung them, and the dehumidifiers and the mini splits. That was a hell of a project. Installing mini splits is something you got to kind of know HVAC a little bit, but then you got to really know. You got to. It's basically one tier short of building a house, man. It's challenging, but I got three of them put in. One of them I had to call a tech for because not a DIY. Anyway, that's a long story, but the cool part of it is that yeah, I pretty much built this by myself, and with the help of on and off my wife and a friend or two, and culmination of 16 years of growing and just slaving away for maybe for other people, and not necessarily following my exact dreams, just paying my dues, as they say, to to get in the game. And now here I am at the what I mean, you might call this the beginning of something, but it really is sort of the end of something too. Been an outdoor grower in California for like 10 years, and going back to indoor now is really something bizarre. Got these LEDs hanging that are like walking into a spaceship, and I'm used to these hot buzzing HPSs. It's like 1,000 degrees in that room. It's humid, and it's like that's old school. And now it's like, man, everything's just dialed in now. I got all this technology to do everything for me, and but it wasn't cheap. My wife and I put our entire life savings into everything we've done. Haven't taken on any investors, so we're pretty proud of that. And That's what's going on with me in general. And I'd love to fill you in on all kinds of little details and stuff like that. You've been crushing it, dude. I saw you did it's like 20 hours on 420 or something like that.
I think it was a little more than. I think it was in the end more towards like probably 28, something like that.
What? Oh my goodness.
Fucking, it was kind of funny because at one point I had Duke Diamond was on right around the finish line there, and he's like, "Well, when'd you start this?" And I'm like, "Well, last night at 11:30." And he's like, and I think it was like 12:30 at that point. He's like, "Well, don't you think you've kind of like hit the mark?" And I'm like, "Well." still up. I'm still, still here. Fuck it.
You're a savage, man. You're the biggest YouTube beast I know. You just kill it. You just kill it.
I appreciate that, man. But I got a ton of respect for you, man. I've been watching you on Instagram and what you've been got going over there. Basically carving that land out from scratch and fucking making your way. And man, what not letting anybody in, doing it on your own. That shit's tough, man. Taking the whole dream out of your pocket and not necessarily letting anybody in. That can be very tough mentally, physically, all the way around. But man, again, another point where I'm super admirable about, man, because that can hinder the dream. And we've seen that happen throughout anybody that's wanting to take on like a large role. You know what I mean? We've seen it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Over and
Absolutely,
over.
dude. And that, quality always takes a shit in the bed when people go too big. And that's why for me, literally when I was like, all right, how big do I want this grow to be? I thought, okay, what's the maximum amount that I by myself can handle? In other words, like, if I need to thin a room, let's say, and I want to do a heavy thinning, how long is that going to take me? Well, it's probably going to take me 8 hours to do about 600 square feet if I'm doing a really good job. And so that's the size of the room that I made, because that's what I know I can do by myself. So this is like the maximum amount I can handle by myself. So my plan and sort of expanding and keeping quality, because that's important when you want to grow your business, and you also want to maintain your quality. So for me, that means finding someone who has a passion for the craft like I do, and but maybe doesn't have very much experience, um, that wants to learn and can kind of like do it in the same vein that I would. And eventually that's how I would expand is you put the faith in another person, not in some sort of business model. You teach somebody your ways, and then you pass that torch on in that way. So that's my plan with expansion. It seems really easy, right? It's like just do it the right way. Just train somebody and do it the way that you would do it, and then you're not corporatizing anything, and this person then is benefiting. So like I brought a guy in when I started my business here in Oklahoma. You have to be a resident, and I was just shy. I'd bought my land a year and a half before the license was getting finished, and you needed a 2-year residency to qualify. So I brought in a friend here in Oklahoma, and that's just one of the ways that I like to build other people up. So my buddy is he's a business partner with me now. He owns a large portion of my business, because that is how I felt the proper way to go about getting involved in Oklahoma. But he's not involved financially. He didn't put a dollar forward. I gave him a large portion of my business simply for being a part of my business and an Oklahoma resident. Um, you know, so bringing up others in the community in this way that sort of sounds like a franchise, but it's actually more of a community.
I think that's pretty awesome as well, man. Teach a man to fish, each one teach one type of thing. Uh, and plus, that gives them more heart, in what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's about their greater good as well. So I can see that working all the way around for both.
Yep. That's the plan, man. And that's part of why I like jumping on your show and Cheap Home Grow, because it allows me to connect with people and pay back. When I was a beginner grower, I depended on so many different resources, and you know, everybody has their own perspective on growing. Even down to some of the best growers in the world grow weed totally differently. And when I learned that, you know, everybody can teach the way that they grow the weed and maybe help somebody along their path. And so this is why I feel that, you know, you might think that I'm doing something great, but I really feel like, you know, you put in this basically pro bono work. You're just here on YouTube working your ass off, and you're doing, I mean, in my mind, this is some of the biggest advocacy work, because I mean, just somebody today reached out and said, oh, when are you going to be on Cheap Home Grow? I'm like, actually, I'm going to be on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle tonight. So, you know, expanding that audience, teaching new people, man, it's everything. And in the process, you know, trying to remain humble and learn. So, you know, that's what I do too, is I try to absorb from the people that are really just crushing it, like Poetry of Plants and Russ Brandon and, you know, guys like that.
Some very admirable folks for sure. How has taking on Oklahoma been as far as our environment and all that? You said going from outdoors into in is quite the swing all itself, but to change up different lightings, like you said, to go from, you know, the sun to LED, the double-ended fixtures there, you know, there's a little bit of a learning curve there. How has all that been so far?
So far, I've been pretty lucky. I did when I first got my LEDs, I turned them up way too bright, and so I learned that these lights are crazy bright, and with LEDs, you can't. It's the hard part is that there is a max. In the old days when we ran those 1,000 waters on the high pressure sodium 1,000 waters, and a lot of people still do. It's not old days. Now they're dual ended. It used to be single ended, but they were. Oh shit! I just lost my train of thought. Hold on, let me take a bong rip. What was I saying? Something about
the different types of lighting and how you're acclimating indoors.
Oh,
basically.
That's right.
You don't have to run them as high.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So you're running these lights and you're trying to pump them as hard as you can. And you're going to put them as close to the canopy as you can. Dude, these lights, I got them at 70%. They're up on the freaking ceiling. And it's just, they're chilling. The plants are happy. And it's, you know, I'm running like the upper 400s on the micro. It's a brand new ball game, but there's a cap, right? So with the LEDs and all that, you got to be careful because you're playing in the optimum and upper levels of what the plant is capable of and what your soil is capable of. So if your nutrition isn't dialed in, those lights will beat the hell out of your plants. And vice versa, right? Like, and so you got to be careful. So when I first put those lights up, it was just blasting my plants. I got this leaf curl, everything was just squatting down. So I turned them way down and they just bounced right back, got big old leaves. And I just been cranking it up ever since, just cranking it up. Shout out to the chat. I do see y'all. I got the little dual screen here. So I can take questions here and all that. I can cross my I's, dot my T's.
Right. So it is a little bit of a swing growing under the new LEDs. I think they are quite powerful, and as you said, man, they are definitely pushing the plants harder than indoors than we ever have pushed them, which makes me kind of wonder about a lot of things. If there isn't, kind of like you said, too much line, basically. I think Lossley initially tried to warn us about that when he was preaching the daily light integral type thing. And I think that's very true, man. I've been listening to probably say his name wrong, but Joe Petty which is an old school grower, and he's trying to beat the drum of, we're fucked up, man. We've been taught to push these plants for more. Well, I think in some aspects he's right and he's wrong. Basically, he's talking that we've been duped, telling on ourselves, using way too much electricity, overusing our equipment, and fucking giving ourselves away, burning into the later night hours, with bright lights, when it's unneeded, photoperiodism or daily light integral. And I think he's right, man. I think now that we have these more intense light, we should be thinking about pulling, not just pulling the power of the lights down, but the time of the lights down as well. I just don't think it's needed. I think maybe back in the day, it wasn't such much a psyop operation as he makes it out to be. But I just think at that point, we just didn't understand, the weaker lights, and maybe it did take a little bit more longer time to equal what the plant needed in that number. But I think we're there nowadays.
Definitely. I would 100% agree. Yeah, it's we've come a long way in lighting, and I was basically growing outdoor that whole time that the whole lighting evolution was going on. I was like not paying attention at all. And then I had to get the old gears cranking for that one, because it was, I mean, we planned for like a year for what kind of lights and how we were going to set them up and all that. Puffy Grows in the chat asks, how do I like Oklahoma? I love Oklahoma. I was meant for this state. It's the absolute best state in the country. No offense to any other states. I've lived in a few other states, and I absolutely love Oklahoma. It's just super free. You can kind of do whatever you want. It's also the only state, as far as I know of, that you can own a gun and a cannabis patient license. In fact, when the OMMA inspectors were here, he goes, you're required to have some sort of security, right? Like door locks and cameras and stuff like that. So he's like, what kind of security do you have? And I'm like, oh, I got door locks and guns. And he's like, check, good to go.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome all in itself. Hell yeah.
Just freedom,
So coming from the outdoors in, there's always been that age old, argument that outdoor is so much better than the indoor there. So how are you on that side of the fence now that you're on the indoor side of things?
Oh man, I guess I'm gonna ride both sides of the fence for that one, right? But I still want to grow outdoor. I still love outdoor weed. Dude, I'm smoking outdoor weed right now from last year. This is some Baja Blast from last year's outdoor in California. This is what I like smoking. I love flavor, but this is what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to bring that flavor from outside inside. What I really want to see a version of this. I want to see the exact thing, but in lighter green, or it's disappearing. But yeah, you know what I mean?
I do. And I've honestly put a lot of thought into the indoor versus outdoor argument, to be honest with you. And I'd like to run my thought about it by you as an outdoor grower and see what you think. See, basically, I think that the argument for the outdoor, the quality outdoor, there's a lot of factors. Of course, that beautiful sun, the out stressors of the outdoors, the natural stressors. But I think one thing that varies from the indoor from the outdoor is on the indoor, most growers try to harvest or plan things by the calendar, number of days. When you're outdoors, you're letting it grow as long as possible. You're grateful for every extension of the day. You know what I mean? So you're letting the plant more fully ripen out, go through as much senescence as possible, and to where the indoor grower don't do that. You know what I mean? Or that's their mistake. I think a lot of them, that's where they make their mistake, is not letting the bud go through the ripening stage. You know, they pull a little bit too soon. So what's your thoughts on that? Am I close or no?
I think you filled out half of the puzzle and you're dead on. I think that that's like the McDonaldization of the industry, right? It's like we have to flip this run in 9 weeks no matter what. Okay, but the trikes are all clear. It doesn't matter. Like that's the shit that turns good weed bad. I think you're 100% right. And then I think the other half of that coin is, man, this is speculation 100%. But coming from outdoor, I would say that we are still discovering so much about the physics and the quantum physics of electrons, right? Like what is actually happening with photons and electrons when they're traveling and hitting our plant or not hitting our plant, all kinds of stuff. So I think this might sound crazy, but I think that we're going to discover scientists will discover something in 20 years where they're like, there's the secret photon or something, right? They're going to call it the secret photon. It's going to be a something that indoor lights can't give or haven't discovered how to give yet. That's the other half. That's my input. Yours is more realistic. Mine's like way out there.
No. I think there's something to that. I think there's something to that 100%. I think maybe it could be spectrum, you know, even that we can put it like a digital eye to it. We know that, we can only see so much, or, what is visible. So we can only make judgment on what we can actually see and or necessarily measure. So there could be, something out there as far as spectrum or whatnot being something we're missing. I liked that Kevin Jodrey at one point kind of put it to there's almost like information in the plant, in the light. You know what I mean? There's something else coming with in that light spectrum, not just light. You know what I mean?
Information packet.
Yeah. Yes.
I've heard that expression, information, that photons are actually that DNA is information packets, that basically everything that exists is an information packet, and it transmits via whatever spectrum it does. And just because we can't measure that spectrum or don't have a scale to measure that spectrum doesn't mean that doesn't exist.
So what are you smoking on tonight? Did you? I think you did. You just told me, didn't you? Yeah, the outdoor from last year.
Yeah, it's the Baja Blast. Show you again. It's pretty nice. This is I popped 10 seeds and I kept 3 females for outdoor last year, and they're from Creature Ravine Gardens. So it's Baja Blast. I think it's like a lime crush. Crap, I can't remember. I remember such shit. But anyway, it's delicious. It tastes just like, well, this pheno, not so much. This pheno is just bulky and dense and had nice bag appeal. But the other two tasted like, one of them tasted like straight lemons. And then the other one tasted like the actual soda, the Baja Blast soda from Taco Bell. It was delicious.
That sounds fucking delicious. The Baja Blast.
Thanks for that shout out, John. Appreciate that. I see the chat lighting up about plant packers and the website. That's dope, man. I appreciate all the support. Let me take that opportunity real quick and tell you all about the plant packers. So Did I have plant packers last time I was on the show?
Please
Probably.
do.
Did I? Okay.
You
It
haven't
was right
yet.
around then.
Please do.
I don't know, but it's just, you know, just a quick shameless plug is that it's an easy way to ship your plants. There's a link for it in the chat there, and it's you can ship live plants, and I actually designed it to get my genetics to Oklahoma. So I used this for 96 or 98 plants or something like that, and I didn't have any dye. So, and since then I've created that product. Many people have purchased it, and I haven't had any negative feedback. I have had some suggestions, and I've actually modified the product a little bit. I've softened the edge where you place the clone down in, so it doesn't necessarily want to dig into the side of your clone. But you know, it's just different things to generate, you know, income for the family and backup plans. And, you know, if something doesn't work out, you know, always got something else going on.
And did you do your little happy dance when they said that when the announcement for ship clones and siege? I would have been on the side on the IG all day long. Buy it now, buy now, ship.
You know, I've tried to reach out to a couple of nurseries and stuff. The only problem is everybody wants to design their own packaging, because it's super easy to have this really cheap thin plastic made to mold made to fit your clones and stuff like that. And you can have individual clones, and that's what people want to sell, one clone at a time. Mine fits 3 to 6. So it's more about shipping clones to your friends and stuff like that. But I am working on a design where it's a more sturdy single version. It's just going to take time and money to create that. But what was I going to say about that? But yeah, you know, it was created as an alternative for that overbuilt clone shipper that is like $30 a pop, and it's got all these freaking pieces, and you know, it's just sort of silly. And the light is whack. The light is super whack. So I wanted to get a really good light that, like, no matter what, would just, you know, these little things that keep your plants happy and transport, and helps. Not to mention the warmth that comes off of that light. That's going to help, you know, in cold weather, to keep that package warm. And then that's why I recommend living soil, shipping in plant packers and living soil, because, you know, it's added warmth, carbon dioxide. So yeah. Also, I'll give everybody that's watching this a 10% discount. Just shoot me a DM or an email, and I will give you the discount code personally. So do that, and I will do that for you. And you too, Eagle. Actually, you just let me know when you need them, dude. I got you, bro.
Appreciate that. So, but again, things have changed a little bit now, though. I mean, back then when it was plant packer, the dream, you know, earn a little bit of cash, help some buddies ship some shit. But now you could fucking actually pack them with genetics.
You're right, but here's the thing, bro.
And if you do that, will you call it this name? You can call it Plant Packer Medicine Cabinet.
It's kind of perfect, right? Dude, you know, it's just, what sucks is I've been an outlaw my whole life. Be completely honest with you, right? I've been growing weed my whole, like, fucking since I was 14 years old. And now that I'm in Oklahoma and I'm doing shit legally, I'm so scared to fuck around with anything that could get us in trouble, even if it means that you know, obviously I could ship clones and not get arrested, but I'm still risking, like, my business license. So we are looking into a hemp license to be able to ship genetics to other licensed hemp farms, but that would be different from our cannabis business. That would be like a nursery business. It's for hemp. We sell clones and stuff like that. But I just don't want to do anything to jeopardize the legal business and, you know, my family safety and shit like that. Can't have the risk of raids anymore, man. Before I left California, fucked up shit. Such fucked up shit, dude. I had to move my wife and daughter to her mother's house because they were doing raids in my county after they had said, you can go ahead and plant, right? Okay, they said, go ahead and plant your garden, 600 square feet. We plant our garden. And then on May 5th, halfway through spring, they say, oh, you can only have 6 plants. Well, I went, okay, well, we got to eat. So fuck that. So you guys go to, you know, your mom's house. So you stay there and I'm going to fucking do what I do here. So I stayed up in the mountains and and that wasn't the first time I've done some crazy shit like that, but that was the first time having a kid doing some shit like that. And just fucking, bit my nails and got through this harvest. This is that harvest. Actually, wait, was it? No, it was the harvest before that. It was the harvest before that. This was from 6 giant plants. So I ended up bending over and doing it and growing 6 monster plants the next run. But nonetheless, the run before that was had to be totally outlawed and fucking crazy. It's just fucked up what they're doing to people out there. People think that growing weed in California is legal. Yeah, well, growing a little bit of weed is legal in some places, but for the most part, you're just subject to buying weed in the dispensaries, and it's mostly trash.
That's one thing I could never understand, man. California was one of the first places to get the ball rolling and never could fucking figure it out. You know what I mean? To this day, the whole state can't fucking agree on common laws and fucking one system. And you would think they would be the model by now.
It's why I moved to California from Florida fucking 11 or so. Oh God, I don't know. 2011. So it was 11 years ago. I moved from Florida to California because I had big green plants in my hearts and my eyes, but they were good big green plants, not hearts. So, I want to grow. So, I moved to California to grow plants. Actually, I moved to also go to school and shit, but I bailed on my PhD after 6 months. I was growing and doing my PhD and I bailed on my PhD. And so I think I've told you that story before, but just love growing and done it for a long time. And it drove me out of California. It drove me to California and it drove me out of California. But so far, Oklahoma is doing it the right way. They're rolling it out for small farmers. It's a struggle. There's a lot of shitty bills trying to get put up here, but we have a lot of killer advocates here too. People like their freedom here. So, shout out to Brandon Rust again and many other people that, fight for the freedoms of home growers and small mom and pop farmers and, us ex-outlaws.
It's nice that they didn't put a lot of restrictions on who can and can't start things up over there. Me, myself, man, I've thought about heading your way, man. I thought about the Oklahoma dream. And as far as like the outlaw days of being fucking paranoid of shit, right there with you still kind of on that. But mine is, man, I would honestly love to just go and just start popping all the genetics I have and start housing hundreds and hundreds of different strains, just doing the pheno hunt, finding the one, housing her, moving on or whatever, and just, housing hundreds, if not hopefully thousands of different genetics at one point. And just, not worry so much about flower production, oil extracts or whatever, but just be the guy where you come get that shit. You know what I mean? That cut. I think I would be quite happy there. But I'm afraid that the second I would do that, go there, open up both cases and start getting shit wet, fucking things would change and I would lose fucking all them genetics in a fucking gavel. Bang! Fuck.
Man, I knock on wood because I tell you what, we watch the news so close because we're scared too. We've been doing this for long enough to know that they're gonna figure out a way to fuck us one day, one way. But if you look at the history, and this is part of the reason we chose Oklahoma, if you look at their history, it's in the Oklahoma Constitution. I don't know the wording, but it's in the Oklahoma Constitution that the doctors and patients' rights shall not be infringed or something like that. And it's a big thing here that no matter what the state, no matter what the government tells you, if your doctor tells you you can do something, you can do it. And that's what it comes down to, is my understanding. Somebody's probably going to be able to have a better explanation. But so basically, if your doctor has recommended cannabis, you should have an access to this cannabis, and that's what's created this industry here. It is very medical. They do not fuck around with recreational here. But everybody that says I'm thinking about Oklahoma, I encourage them to move here. Check it out. Come visit. And Eagle, you're welcome here anytime, bro, on my farm. We're actually getting a guest house here finished pretty soon, and we'll have some space for guests. And you can come check it out. And and the other thing I wanted to say is, if you're gonna run some pheno hunts, make sure you get land that has wind block, because there is so much wind here. You put plants outside, they get from walls or a forest around them.
Yeah, I can see that. Actually, Oklahoma and kind of that tornado alley, you know what I mean, that runs through the Midwest there. I've kind of talked about as the perfect example of someday that just being an area where autos are grown. That's just part of the recipe to work around the weather. You know what I mean? You instead of getting one long season in, just two, one before and after that wind season, or rough season, spring season, or whatever. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
It's windy, man. But you're right, because autos, they're smaller generally, and they're squattier. So you're probably on to something. I've been thinking about running some autos outside, 8-foot fence or a 6-foot fence with a 2-foot extension, which is an 8-foot fence with a barbed wire. I mean, a 6-foot fence with barbed wire. But and that's really expensive to build. It's almost like, why not just build a greenhouse instead, because that qualifies as like a locked area. So then phase 2 of this is a greenhouse, a lean-to greenhouse that passively uses the environment from the indoor. So I'm gonna have an exhaust that pulls leftover AC or heat, whatever I need, from the indoor to the greenhouse. It'll also act as like a solar collection, because when you have like clear plastic over a white surface, you're just basically like heating up the space for free and then keeping it cool in the summer.
I love Chad.
What are they doing?
Well, I will try not to taint your episode with swear words.
No.
Puffy Grows, his comment there. How come? I'm not scared, Puffy. I'm not scared.
Wait, I missed it. Where is it?
He says basically, don't be a sissy. Come see how simple folk live.
Yeah, buddy. It's and it's just a real satisfying way of life too. It's like I learned how to weld. I've only learned electrical in the last 2.5 years, but I wired up this whole fucking place myself, dude. I hot tapped the 600 amp transformer. You know what I'm saying? That's like shit
That's
regular electricians wouldn't touch necessarily.
a lot of power right there. You definitely go down. You can make a mistake there. That's for sure.
Oh
So are
yeah.
you
And
locked in indoors there? Can you be indoor, outdoor?
you can be indoor, outdoor, you can be whatever you want. You just have to have a fence around your outdoor if you're doing house.
Right now. Yeah, I can agree like that as well. It becomes more and more inviting.
Dude, I'm telling you, you got to come out here. At least take a visit. Maybe come out around one of the events. You know, there's all these events going on. We're going to I'm bringing a couple of my guys from my crew to that you know, these are guys. One of them, obviously, you know, like I said, owns a business with me, and then the other is just an old longtime friend. We're going out to the Turp Float, Oklahoma. It's in August. You should look into it, see if you can make a trip out for it. And I'm gonna be kicking it with Red Dirt Raised Oklahoma, and you know, Russ Brand. There's lot of really cool people. Hermetic Flower Company, a lot of good people going, and a lot of good bands. There's a scene happening here, man. I guess that's what's really happening is there's like a real movement in Oklahoma, a real grassroots movement here where people are kind of coming together and creating something. And I remember this in California. I was on the back end of this wave in California. When I moved to California in 2011, it was like, whoa, this culture is changing really deeply. And that's what's happening here. And so it's really fun to be a part of it and on the early side of it, and maybe have a bigger part of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a cool bunch of people there in Oklahoma, and more and more. Well, we got Sus there. Sus, this guy 79 there in chat. Uh, another Oklahoma guy there. He was trying to get the Vets Grow Cup going last year. Hell, I almost came out there last year for that.
Yeah, dude, you'd have a place to stay on my couch.
Right. Yeah, country folks definitely know how to party. That's for sure. So I can definitely see that to be a good time.
Yeah, a guy with a name like Eagle, he'd definitely get along here.
Oh yeah. So I guess I kind of hinted to it though. What has been some of the challenges from coming indoors to out? Did you have to get your own soil cooking? Did you buy something that was ready to go? Uh, how difficult is it to get it started from scratch there in Oklahoma?
Man, let me tell you, it was me, my adopted dad, and my wife, okay, and my daughter and our dogs. We all had our own vehicle when we traveled from California to Oklahoma. My, let's say, you know, my what I call my adopted dad, let's just say my dad packed his trailer and his truck full of my soil. He actually ended up destroying his rear diff because of it, but he packed his shit with all my soil. And then we packed, you know, I live in a 45-foot trailer. We packed it full. It's got cracks on the frame. It's all bent because we overpacked it. We packed my wife's SUV full. And we got everything here that we needed. And, you know, I could have had a better start with soil. Like it could have been a better, more well-balanced blend because it had sat for months. But fact of the matter is, I got this shit started like out of scratch and out of the back of a trailer, and I'm dialing in the soil as I have plants in it. It's been a wild ride. So I know this first run's not going to be the best, but I'll have better runs. So soil has been a challenge. I'm looking at getting some more soil because I'd like to do a higher plant count smaller plants than what I have going now. So not so much training and stuff. And then, in terms of IPM, I would say that would be the other challenge. Here's a tip, grower tip. There's a different degradation rate of any pesticide you're going to use, or, organic, especially between outdoor and indoor. So when you're spraying, let's say, pyrethrin outdoor, it's going to be good for 3 days, maybe 2 days if the sun's bright. But if you're spraying it indoor, it's going to be on the plant for 4 or 5 days. So you can oftentimes relax your spray schedule a little bit. And that was a little bit weird for me. I was spraying on this really tight schedule, and I'm like, man, do I need to be doing this? And I started thinking and doing research. I was like, oh, duh, I don't need to be doing this shit. I need to be slowing down. And, I haven't had any bug problems yet. And I did see some russet mites, but, it's basically, they just get swept right out with the old, preventative measures. And those have been the biggest challenges. It's been really nice. Since you asked about challenges, I'll say it's been really nice. The other side of the coin, walking outside of my house and going into the grow 5 feet away. I can hear my daughter like playing in the barn, like when I'm in the grow. It's pretty freaking sweet. And there's no other state, I don't think, that you can have a live-in farm like with cannabis. You can't live on your farm in most other states. I'm not going to say any, but as far as I know, there's, you couldn't in California, and you can't in a couple other states. So.
Well, that stinks, man. But that is definitely an awesome perk. That's for sure. To be so close to the garden and the family, to have both, both beautiful things all in one place. To be honest with you, all your worries, all your cares, all in one spot. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. No escape either.
Man, that is a very true statement there. Man, I gotta give you some credit, man, on tugging that fucking soil across country there, man. And that makes me feel a little bit better about being a little bit of a pack rat, man. When I moved up here, man, I still got fucking wood shorts, maple, oak, cherry, shit like that I guilt myself into dragging, fucking couple hours up north. But man, you must have really had a fucking bond with that soil to fucking hump it all the way across country, brother.
It was hell, but it was worth it because soil is not cheap, and you never know who you can trust and shit. And I've been building that soil for a very long time. So I just couldn't let it go. It was an emotional thing. I had to take it with me. It's my teddy bear,
That's awesome, man. That is fucking awesome. That is, man. That's so do you feel like you brought a little bit of the terroir with you?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the goal, is that, California doesn't get my weed anymore. They don't. Oklahoma gets it. So, and I brought that shit from California to Oklahoma. You get that California terroir in Oklahoma.
So I forget who it was. I think it was Dirty Ho. Dirty Ho Gardens in chat said she wanted to talk prices there. How are things in Oklahoma? When we talk part of the drain, that's most certainly part of the drain. How are things? Is the market does seem a little bit saturated as it is reflected on prices super badly.
It is. I would say that there's a pretty dramatic effect, but there's a very clear divide happening between cheap weed that's grown by people who don't know what they're doing versus good weed that is grown by somebody who cares about the patients. And that divide is represented in price. So there's folks that go into dispensaries that ask for, I only need $700 a pound for this. Because I don't know why, but maybe they grow 100,000 pounds of it, right? So they don't really need to get a lot. They have a lower over. They can charge less. But for me, my wife and I spend a lot of time on this. We believe that we're creating better medication for people, and we're not just going to dispensaries with a turkey bag in a duffel bag, letting them sell our weed in plastic containers that's like slapped with a typewriter printer. We are designing jars and labels and creating this boutique look for consumers that's like comparable to like craft wine. When they get their hands on this product, it's clear that it's better. And those plastic containers that they're using here in Oklahoma, it's just this little pop top plastic container. It's like really doesn't keep the weed very well. And so, the price that I'm gonna have to be charging, we've calced out what we're going to be charging for our cannabis to dispensaries, and the price that we are probably going to have to be charging, depending on how much we produce, it's going to keep us in business, because that's the great thing with organic gardening is we grow weed pretty cheaply. Like rarely do we have to spend a lot on fertilizer. So, the soil stays balanced or is pinballed back and forth with small amendments.
That's pretty awesome. I kind of chuckled there. That could be fucking part of the commercial, man, someday for ATG gardens there. Acres, but it should be gardens at one point when it's huge. No, you want acres. Acres is more right. But quality is such a concern here. To get things going, we actually logged the soil here to save the overhead so we could pass it on to you. You know what I mean? That's how much it means to us. Something along that line. It's ethics. It's how deep our ethics run.
You vocalized I might have to steal your wording. I think you I never think about this shit when I'm typing my website, right? Like I'm like blah 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 blah, but when I'm talking to you, it I guess it makes more sense, comes out of me better. But yeah.
So I know at one point you guys were looking to go off the grid as much as possible. Is that something that is still part of the dream, especially with LEDs? I would think that's pretty. I don't think that's off the possibility realm. With LEDs that you could be off grid and still function with LEDs. Do you think that could be part of the puzzle to save the buck in the future?
Well, listen, brother, you could go off grid with as much power as you want. They got generators that come on dual axle trailers, triple axle trailers that are the size of a building, and they will power your shit till the cows come home. On the same hand, off-grid living was rather necessary in California because it was so expensive for power, and they charged you just to get set up like 60,000 just to get power set up in my neck of the woods up there. And here, dude, I put a $500 deposit down and I got 600 amp transformer placed on my property. That's it. And, you know, I told them I can do the electrical work, and they said, okay, we'll leave it unlocked. So I just got a piece of 2x4, stuck it up under there, got my gloves on, I wrapped my wrench with electrical tape, and I was shaking, boy. But, you know, in theory, it's going to work. So it's okay. It's safe. It's as long as you know what you understand what you're doing, it's safe. I want a couple of questions stacked up in chat that I just really want to jump on real quick. Somebody asked, hold on, if I go to the auctions, Puffy Grows asked, ATG, do you do the auctions? No, but my contractor does, and I would really like to get out to them because I need a tractor. And the Major General 420 Army asked, how much is power per kilowatt? We pay, it depends. You know, we were paying 11 cents a kilowatt, and we started just in the last month or two, we were paying 13, I think, cents a kilowatt. But that is just right around the national average there. So we're, you know, we're sitting pretty with our electric bill compared to other states. Does he have a huge veggie garden started this spring? I wonder if he's talking to me. Probably, maybe. I don't, because I just go. Because I haven't had the time. I'm 100% invested in this garden and that stuff. But we're gonna do one next year. I have a couple of friends doing veggie gardens that I'm gonna support their stuff. I'm gonna pay them and buy vegetables and stuff. Oh, and our neighbor actually has a dairy cow. We've been buying milk, eggs. They have, you know, chickens, eggs, jam, and all kinds of great stuff from them.
You know, I want to jump in on that sentiment real quick, as far as like the fresh milk and the fresh eggs and all that bullshit goes. I had my first nostalgic memory with food the other day, and I've never had that. I've never ever had that. You know, it happens with music and other things, you know, but not as deeply as music. Music can usually, you know, set and rewind the whole memory back in your head. But I've never had that with food. All right. And the other day I had some chicken, and it was bought from a local butcher, buy their own meat and shit. And the fucking chicken tasted, it was fucking delicious. Bottom line, it was delicious, but it actually tasted like fucking chicken. It just didn't taste like fucking a protein source or whatever, you know, fill in the blank salt. It tasted like chicken, and it just, couple bites into it, man, it took me back to like when I was a kid. My dad, who, like, our main meal was like fucking chicken, man. That man barbecued, that fucking fired up that grill and would barbecue chicken any fucking day he could. And it just had that taste of chicken that I remember as a kid before all the mass, you know, production and additives and shit. And like I said, I had never had that until the other day, and it was from local source meat.
Hell yeah, dude. I'll tell you what, I completely agree. First thing I noticed when we got to California was the meat is, I mean Oklahoma, is the meat is better. It tastes better. My contractor just so happens to also be a, man, I'm going to start sounding country if we keep talking about Oklahoma. My contractor is a beef farmer, and he does Texas Longhorn, and they are just beautiful beasts with big long horns. And so he keeps 3 of them on my property. I have 2 cows and a bull, and we had one give birth here, and calf didn't make it. It's been real ass farm shit going on here. And what else? So he beef farms, and the beef is so delicious, man. It's like they care about what they feed their animals. They have a balanced diet. This guy balances his cow's food the way I balance the soil in my grow. He's like, okay, they need a little bit more protein, they need a little bit more fiber, they need a little bit more, and then they have these cubes that are like vitamins, and it's like, so they just go back and forth, and then they also graze the land, and it just makes it taste better. It's so much better. It's juicier, it's tastier. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
That's awesome. You know, I often wonder why fucking the doctor doesn't do that shit with us. To be honest with you. You know, they're so quick to just write down, you know, when we go in there, what's wrong with you? Script. They don't necessarily look at you and fucking, let's see here. Says you're deficient on all this shit. Why don't you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that and come back and see me next week? And if this doesn't work, and then we'll talk meds next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a dude. Don't even get me started on the pharmaceutical industry and Western medicine and all that. It's just a pinball machine. You get you back and forth into their office, and then their partner's office. Well, I'll give you a referral to this other guy who'll fuck you up worse. Get you on this other drug.
Well, you can go on all you want, because I prefer to send everybody towards the way of cannabis versus that pharmaceutical.
I'll tell you what, man, we've converted a lot of people to lotion, like, you know, coconut oil. A lot of older folks here in Oklahoma, just friends, just giving them, you know, RSO infused coconut oil. Dude, it's crazy how many people I've taken to that don't use cannabis otherwise, that they just love this stuff, and it takes their pain away. Oh yes. Puffy Gross, tell them about the barbecue here. Yeah, barbecue is fire here. Barbecue is so fire here. And everybody knows how to cook, and there ain't a vegetable in sight. That's the only problem. I got to supplement my vegetables around these folks. What genetics am I working on right now? 4x4 closed door. I am. Oh, let me just shout out 4x4 closed door. That guy sent me one of the nicest messages I've ever received. He said, you know, something that I said to one of my biggest heroes of the farm. I sent Patrick a message like years ago. I said, man, I hope our paths cross. You know, I just feel like you're killing it. And I wasn't doing like anything big like this. And I was just looked up to him. And 4x4 sent me a message like that. And about had me crying, man. It was really nice to see something like that. And I want to encourage, it was a continuation from the Cheap Home Grow, where I was kind of encouraging people to, you know, pursue their passion and quit their job. And, you know, I'm on this motivational shit right now where I just want people to be happy. And I think that's the right way to do it, is to be courageous and quit your job. So let me just get back to this question. 4x4, shout out 4x4. I'm working with Sunday Driver and Blue Cookies and Baja Blast. I'm running right now. So it's mostly Sunday Driver. And then I have like 21 Blue Cookie plants and 3 Baja Blast plants. So we'll see. It's going to be some fire coming out here, but it'll get better and better too. Looking forward to everything.
I'm on the same motivational kick with you there, as far as that. Well, not just cannabis and in general, but living your dreams for sure. You know, you do have to get out there and be happy. But as far as cannabis goes, I do believe, you know, it's a path well worth taking there. I've said this before, you know, just not as far as a medicine, but in general, man, cannabis offers a better quality of life. You know, for those who's sick, it can offer a better quality of life. as a medicine, even if it isn't caught in time. You know what I mean? The time you have left, it can enrich. As far as like us that are trying to make that change from swinging the hammer or whatever we did before this, uh, it is about the same thing. It's just we're wanting a more quality of life. We're tired of being sore, want more time with the family, shit like that, and that's what we're trying to find in cannabis. And I don't think that's something to be demonized for, is wanting a better quality of life.
Well said, dude. That should be on your fucking commercial right there. That is, and that's why I feel like you're the best advocate in the industry, because you really speak on your heart and you dedicate so much time to this message. Really, it's and it's unmatched. It's unmatched, bar none. It's unmatched in the industry. I'll give you a second to feel spoiled about that.
I appreciate that. I was feeling spoiled. Thank you. I appreciate those kind words.
Well,
Really do.
it's all love, man. So 4x4 said, did I hunt them from seeds or did I just start from cuts? And I started those. The Baja Blast was from seed. I hunted that one. Everything else was from cut. The Blue Cookies and the Sunday Driver were from cut. The Sunday Driver, got that from my buddy up in Oregon, Zen Farms, old owner, Randall, really nice guy, older fella. I'm always friends with older people like Coot, or Randall, who was 65. I haven't even talked to him in like a year and a half since he retired from the business, but got that one from him, and it is actually a Black Sheep Farms Sunday Driver cut, so it's hunted by black sheep, but it has a lot of history, so I thought I'd tell it real quick. And then the Blue Cookies cut I got from a dispensary in Sacramento years ago, and come to find out that it was probably the original pre Girl Scout, pre Forum cut Girl Scout cookies. So, but I guess it was AKA Blue Cookies, and so that might be that cut, and that's what I suspect. That's what other people have told me about it.
Sounds like some nice stuff there. So I guess my question is, since Oklahoma is still in the medical side of things, how do you see yourself in the future? Do you think, do you see recreational cannabis as a second wind? You know what I mean? A future second wind in cannabis for Oklahoma? Or do you think that you want to just keep things the way they are? Tell me what your outlook for the future is, or your perfect, ideal path.
That's a really good question, man. You ask such insightful questions. So I would say that it's because this is such a Republican state, it's unlikely that recreational is going to put us in a better position. And I'm not necessarily I'm not necessarily anything on the political scale personally. I'm not going to say anything, but I'll just say that there is a very reserved area for the medical industry here, medical cannabis industry, but that the recreational industry is probably going to have to wait until some sort of federal recreational legalization, in my opinion.
Man, I'm definitely scared of that, to be honest with you. There's so many levels, to be honest with you. I, yeah, just, I'm afraid that the whole medical thing, the home grow, which is that's for me is more dear to my heart than most. It goes basically medical cannabis, the home grow, you know what I mean? I think that's holds so much value to medical cannabis in general.
Yep.
And I think recreational definitely puts that in jeopardy. And then on top of that, I'm worried about, everybody, everybody, all 50 states, you know what I mean? Because there's always the chance that they could always come in and go, ha ha ha. Yeah, reset everybody, motherfuckers. now you guys have to all come up to our regulations. You know what I mean? And hopefully that don't happen. Hopefully that's just an easement in. But moreover, I'm worried about the medical side of things.
I mean, you're not wrong, man. That's what happened in California. They encroached right up on us. Like I said, dude, that terrible story about them saying planting 600, go ahead, plant your 600 square foot. And then only 6 plants now. That shit was real, man. And they were raiding people. They were separating children from their parents. I mean, that's why I sent, because it was like, all right, they're raiding people, but like, what are they really doing? Oh my God, freaking, what's it called? CPS is coming in and separating parents from their kids. That is messed up. Like, we got to get you guys out of here. This is crazy. And then it was, and we had already seen the writing on the wall. We had already purchased our property in Oklahoma. And I'm glad that the home growers in California still have an opportunity to grow, mostly, in most places. But access to fertilizer and different supplies, it's getting hard, at least for me. I hope home growers don't have as big of a problem as I've had, sourcing particular fertilizers and stuff like that with everything going on. And if they have, at least there are dispensaries that can provide those folks with supplemental cannabis that has some sort of quality. That's what I like about the medical program and the home grow program here. It's really well done.
That's awesome. So how do you feel about, as somebody that's licensing and selling to, dispos and stuff? Yeah, obviously somebody that's on the Cheap Home Grow show, still advocate for the home grows there. You always gonna be on that side of the fence, hopefully again.
Yeah, dude. When when you start out in a little closet, or when you start out, actually, I started growing in the woods with one little seed, but really when I started taking it seriously, I was in in a little closet. And you know what? I've been arrested a number of times for this fucking plant. I've got, I've paid my dues, and there isn't a person I respect more than the home grower in this entire industry. There's a lot of people up at the top, but there's, I hope that there are probably people in the chat that can back me up on this. I really like connecting with just anybody who's passionate about the plant, not necessarily big names or how many followers you got. If you got 50 followers, but you're like, I really want to grow and I want to learn how to do it organically, and what's your IPM like, and how do I fight this bug, and that's the kind of shit that I connect with 100%.
I think this shit's very infectious, to be honest with you. It helps keep us fired up about what we're doing. That feeling that we get from talking to the new guys as well. And that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about too, as well. Is I think that side of things, that that excitement, that oxytocin that's produced from just naturally talking, that's how powerful this fucking plant is. You know what I mean? That just talking about it from one to the other can fire up such fucking powerful fucking excitement, oxytocin's healing stuff inside you without even using it. Not even using it, just talking it. Being in your
Yeah.
garden, same. I think the cultivation, I say this all the time, I think the cultivation side, when you're speaking of medical cannabis, is the biggest part of medical cannabis. I mean, sure, the medicine does its own, there's a lot of weight to the medicine itself, but there's that feeling we were talking about when you're producing the medicine that I can, you know what I mean? When you can help yourself, when you find that self-sustaining moment, especially when it's a life or death thing, you know what I mean? I can save my life, you know what I mean? Just saying it, produces that healing feeling going up your back, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about, man, I like swarm on that fucking energy, dude. Like, I'm all about, when I get upset, I've gone from I've been a very different person in my life. I've been very angry in my past, and I feel like it's important to figure out who you are at your craziest or angriest, at hardest, and then tame that and kind of hone that and be a warrior in the garden, not a gardener in the war, right? And that has served me now, but has bit me in the ass in the past. But I got distracted. I started reading comments and I totally forgot what I was talking about again. Oh, my bad.
Chat can do that to you. Chat can do that to you. But
Yeah.
since we're paying attention to chat, Miss Cassativa there is wanting to know how you feel about when fungus will be decriminalized in Oklahoma. Will that be another avenue you may pursue
Man, it's so
or
funny. No,
support?
I'll definitely always support that. There's a lot of advocacy groups for the psilocybin out here, and I took a lot of mushrooms in high school, really a lot, probably way too much, and I think I got too fucked up on them, and now I prefer LSD if I'm going to take a psychedelic. But that said, I think that all over the country there are these treatment centers like ketamine and like DMT, and they have all these different treatment centers. And I'm not sure Oklahoma will be the first on board with that stuff, but they're, like I said, they're about their patients. So if the patients want it, they'll get it.
Right on. So I'm with it myself. I support it too. I support it as well.
Yeah. There is I saw a really cool Instagram. This guy grows morels inside. He's got them in these bins. Oh man, that's got to be a really cool business to be a part of.
So I guess this is a good question here. I know you're pretty organics is pretty near and dear to your heart, I'm sure. So are you starting to worry about the outdoors now? And I understand that you're not necessarily growing out there now, either gardening or cultivating cannabis, but are you thinking about regenerative steps that you can take now to put in place that will benefit later for cultivation?
That is a really good question. So yes, I'll give you a couple of examples if I can keep my mind on track. Um, I have a French drain put in for all of my runoff for my flower room. That French drain feeds out onto the south side of my building, where I will have a lean-to greenhouse. So the plan is to plant plants directly into that soil where there's a French drain underneath it. So those plants can kind of root down into this runoff. So I hopefully will have plants that I don't even have to water back there. That's one way. Then another way, my dad has a sawmill. And so the plan is to start a hardwood forest. In that I have like 12 acres here, and there's already like a healthy forest on it. And I'm gonna kind of like go through and cull some stuff and seed some stuff and see if I can create like some wood for wouldn't be for me, but it'd be for, my kids could build their house out of these trees. And if I teach them how to use a sawmill and stuff like that when I inherit it. So yeah, I could say you could call that regenerative, I guess. I'm just trying to work off my land. What you smoking on, dude?
I am smoking on a little BBQ Gorilla from Empire Breeding Co. I like it. It's pretty good.
You said it's a BBQ Gorilla?
Yeah. And that's his Face on Fire times his Gorilla Glue 4. I'm pretty sure that's what
Gotcha. That's fire, probably.
Pretty tasty. So why the pipe? Is it just a matter of convenience, simplicity? You prefer the taste?
I actually prefer the taste of a joint, but I am a lazy, cheap bastard, and I will just sit here and just crunch up weed and put it in the bong. The bong water will get so damn dirty. Let's see. It ain't bad right now, but I will let this shit get so dirty, man. Just lazy. I'm just focused on other shit, it's just hard to stay focused on stuff like, every once in a while my wife and I will roll up a joint for like an evening, but we just keep it like special occasion. No reason, just lazy.
That's one thing I got to give you a little shout out on too, is having a significant other that is very supportive and passionate about the dream as well. That makes things very, very much easier, and it makes things more special in the end when it's built that way, I think.
And let me tell you, dude, she is a trooper. So we had to put a dog down recently. Her dog. We both came with a dog when we met, and her dog has attacked multiple animals, dogs, cats, and now has gone after a bull. And it was a really crazy event. This dog went after this bull, and I had the gun, and like I'm about to shoot this dog, and I ended up able to beat these dogs away from each other and the bull. And it's all because this one dog just can't stop its prey drive. All this is just to say that I was wrestling this dog, and I pulled a muscle in my ribs, and I've been unable to water. I've been able to do anything in the garden, and the wife has just taken it all on. She's being full-time mommy. She's being full-time gardener. Luckily, all we've had to do right now is just water plants and stuff like that, but she has been killing it. So I don't know if she'll ever watch this, but maybe this will give me some brownie points.
That's pretty awesome to have that kind of support and partner. So shout outs to both of you guys. Hopefully she does watch. So you gotta love the water only. I have been in cocoa many years, and this last year, as you know, we talked about on a coot episode there, the switch. And I'm still in the dirt, still very happy. I'm in the second run right now to where I'm in some reuse soil, and I'm like, I kind of mended it a little bit, and I'm like, I'm in that portion right now where I'm like, if I were in cocoa, I could just flush, fix shit. You know what I mean? But I'm kind of riding it out, kind of going, next run will be better. Next run will be better.
Well, so what's going on with your living soil? You're not getting the same kind of production you want?
Yeah, basically, I think I added a little bit too much, and she may have been a little too hot. To be honest with you, I played a little mad scientist instead of maybe just letting it ride a second round, which would have probably been the more wiser route. Just to, which I got 5 rounds, and I still haven't really fucked with the earth boxes. So what made me mad scientist on these pots? I don't know. Maybe be the cocoa grower and me the head go mad scientist.
I hear you. I know what you're saying. Well, did you do soil tests, or how did you balance your soil?
Oh, I didn't. I straight mad scientist. Straight mad scientist.
Well, dude, all you got to do, you can go mad scientist on this shit. I go crazy mad scientist. I'm insane scientist. But what I do is I go and I get soil samples and soil tests, and then you can kind of be crazy. And like, I just pushed my magnesium too far. Okay. But I knew it because I got a soil test, and I'll explain that. I see 710 Candace Sewer asking about the soil test. I'll explain that in a minute. So because I got a soil test, I knew I pushed my magnesium too far. I was getting this burn going on, and I fixed it with a little bit of gypsum. So soil tests are the best way and the cheapest way to balance living soil. Logan Labs will test your soil for $60, and there's a lot of guys out there that are even smarter than me that'll do soil analysis, but I offer soil analysis too. And I charge $60 an hour or $60 a test for if we're doing a soil analysis test. And it's really straightforward. Once you learn your own parameters, it's not like you'll be paying somebody forever to analyze your soil and give you feedback. I mean, you'll always be paying $60 to Logan Labs to get a soil test, but you can learn to analyze your own soil and what to add to it to fix it. And it's really, it's not that hard. And it just, it takes this, like, it's almost like being in a spaceship and getting and going for a spacewalk. It is the difference of actually putting yourself out there and potentially fucking something up or not, like you did, like you potentially maybe fucked something up. But potentially with a soil test, it'd be a grapple hook for you, and you could be more grounded and understand your soil and have some better results. And a lot of people have said that the quantity goes down a little bit, even with pretty optimal organics. But in my mind, I really want to see quality. I really want some tasty ass weed. And even if it means I grow 85% of the weed, it's tastier, I'll do it. It's worth it for me.
Yeah, I definitely will get there at some point.
Well, just hit me up, dude. I'll help you. Obviously, I'll do it for free for you.
We all do what we do for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect that. But at some point, I realized that the one and done type attitude. Well, I realized that a long time ago. It's just silly, But I want to be more knowledgeable about using soil as I go forth, I don't think I'll be as weak as I have in the past, just to revert. And that's what's happened. You know what I mean? That's what happened before. You know, when I came back here because I used to grow in an attic type space, an upper grow. So weight was always a thing. So I probably told you, you may have heard this before. That's what got me into the cocoa. So when I came here, the first thing I thought was, hell yeah, I'm back on ground. I'm going back to soil and shit, make things a little bit easier on myself. And then I got in the middle of a hot batch, took on my a few more patients and got into that hotter soil and got into kind of what I'm into now. A little bit of lockup, a little bit of something going on. And I was like, fuck this. Fuck this. I'm out. Back to cocoa. Back to cocoa. Full control. And I ain't even got, and I justified it too with now I don't have time to cook. I'm already into the bank. You know what I mean? I'm already into the reserves. I got to keep just running with cocoa.
I get
So I
that.
don't,
And you know, I always tell people at the end of the day, do exactly what you want to do because that's what's going to make you happy. And you know, you at least you tried and you experienced what it means for you to grow organically, you know, and I encourage everybody to try that at least. And so not many people do that. You know, not many people will waste garden space on a new technique. It's cool.
well, I guess another obstacle I guess I need to come over is, and I could be fixing, right? I could avoid it or helped eased my problems right now if I would have probably been a little bit more braver and, maybe try to seek a little foliar help. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Tried to feed through the leaves instead of the soil and tried to, help things until things maybe freed up or whatever in the soil. But I've never really been a fan of foliars, man, especially indoors. I don't, just too many. I just don't like it, man. Molds, mildews, the extra moisture in the tents, trapping moisture in the tent has all been, you know, a scare, a scare. So I don't necessarily want to try fixing things that way. You know what I mean? So
I love
again, I
that
should be more
perspective.
open minded.
No, dude. No, I don't foliar feed either. And there's a reason for it. And I will if I have to. I have in the past, but I don't like as part of my feed schedule. I don't because it's like playing a video game and typing in a cheat code. It's like you got to beat the game before you go and cheat the game. I don't know. I've always had this perspective of like you spray the plant and you're cheating the soil. You need to balance your, it's the plant wants to get those nutrients from the soil. It can take them in through its leaves, but you're cheating the process. You still, it's a band-aid. That's the right way to describe it. It's a band-aid. Foliar feed is a band-aid, not a fix.
I can see that. I appreciate that answer as well. So let me ask you this: somebody that understands and soil well enough to where you could do an soil analysis for me. We were talking about silicate the other day. You know, adding power SI or whatever for our plants for multiple reasons. And my question was, if we're growing in soil, why is silicate additives even a thought? You know what I mean? It's so natural and abundant in the soil. Why not just be adding microbes or whatever we need to make it more readyable, available naturally for the plant versus trying to supplement and feed. You know what I mean? Now it seems again just another sleight of hand by the cannabis industry to go, dun, 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 you need this. Very expensive too. You know, I could see it maybe in the cocoa side of things, but when you're trying to push it to the soil guys, it's like, what?
Bingo.
What?
Yep.
Really?
You fucking nailed it, dude. Yep. It's all about, does your soil contain that, or do you need to add it? And there are, plenty of guys, or, guys and gals that need to buy that silicate, that power psi. They need that because they don't have that in their medium. But I've never added it to my soil. I'll tell you what I have added is I've done aloe vera treatments, and I've also done, which have some, silicate derivative like silicone or silica. I don't know how all that, I forgot about all that shit. And honestly, it's not something we look at in a soil analysis. It we look at, there's a list of micronutrients and mineral nutrients that come up on the soil test. Molybdenum and boron and zinc and aluminum and copper, and these are things we would look at before your silica numbers. But that said, like you said, there's guys that don't have it in their soil that need it. So, and I mean, try everything once, right? So try and throw it in your soil, see if it does anything for you. If it doesn't, then you don't need to spend your money on that anymore.
Oh shit. I just fucking dropped my joint. Can't drop that joint, man. That's abuse. It's cannabis abuse.
It's the only way to abuse cannabis is to either not smoke it or to throw it away.
So let me ask you this: as far as are you doing as well indoors as far as production numbers go as versus the outdoors there? I know they're smaller plants, but
it's looking like, well, okay, so this is our first run. So we haven't harvested anything yet, but it's looking like if everything continues, we're gonna double our numbers from outdoor production in that square footage canopy. But that's also because we when you're growing indoor, you put a lot more time into the plants than when you're growing outdoor. Personally, like it's very tedious work indoor, but you're more comfortable, so you spend more time with the plants and you do more stuff for them.
so I'm gonna revert back to something you said earlier about there always being a need for a boutique cannabis. What I believe that to be very true. Very true for one reason, especially when, again, relating to the medical side of cannabis. And again, it probably relates some ways to recreational, but I believe cannabis to be basically a spirit plant medicine, in that it speaks to an individual. You know what I mean? And when recreational cannabis comes, they're giving two shits about the spirit medicine side of things. And that I think is very important when people are considering it to be a medicine that they can go in and sniff jars or whatever, and kind of that one strain calls to them. And that's how basically spirit plant medicine works: is you made a bond, with that one plant or whatever, and this is your healing plant. You know what I mean? And that's what I think happens when you go in and you test or sample jars. That one speaks to you, and you're like, yes, this is my medicine. You know what I mean? This one called to me.
Definitely. And I'm sure most people in the chat that are growers can relate that, like, sitting in your garden has that same experience when your flowers are starting to develop and they're dumping terpenes out into the air. You're like, God, this is nice, even though you're not necessarily smoking it. It's like opening a jar. And Tough Empath actually reminded me, I didn't finish a thought. I was talking about silica, and I said aloe vera about the salicylic acid. Yeah, called me out on that. Yep, that's right. It's the salicylic acid. But what I meant to say, and I meant to continue with this, was the I've done this. There's a silica like emulsification you can do, which is you harvest dandelions, borage, and milk thistle. Damn, I can't believe I remembered all three. And you get 24 hours and you stir it. Actually, it was, oh fuck, it was more than 24 hours. It was, I want to say I did it for a week, I think. Stirred it a little bit. Apparently that's going to be really high in silica. Fed that to the plants. I did that once, and haven't needed to do it ever again.
Again, that's kind of reverting back to a question I asked you a little bit earlier, about kind of making your land looking to make it regenerative now for, cannabis agriculture in the future. So are you like now planting maybe some milk thistle or aloe around, stuff like that around that you could maybe think about KNF and into the garden at some point, or utilizing your own inputs from your own,
I have thought about that. And what it's led me to is not how to plant stuff that I want to use, but rather how to use the stuff that's already growing. So there's all kinds of stuff popping up all over my land. And I've started to do a little bit of research about what it is and its nutritional value. And there's some promising stuff, not to mention the fact that I have these cows roaming around on my land. I am planning on going through, scooping up all their poop and adding it to my compost and making a badass vegetable fertilizer, because I don't think I'm going to bring the cow poop indoors. I'll probably stay away from that for the future, because the risk of E. coli and testing and stuff like that, I just don't want to mess with it. So all of my inputs from now on. Oh, and that's a good, actually, you asked what's like a big difference from outdoor to indoor. I'm trying to be a little bit more careful about my inputs and not being so outdoorsy with my inputs. I wouldn't just go collect like forest floor humic material and bring it inside. My room is sealed for the most part. It's like 95% sealed. I try and keep shit out of it. So I probably wouldn't do that. So all of my inputs are like tested or OMRI certified, or all that stuff. And a lot of them always have been, but I've been flexible about how I deliver my nutritional value to my plants, whether it's chicken shit or horse shit or cow shit or blood meal, or, and that's something that I'm going to be using more of now, because it's easier to control the quality of it. Yeah, no more meal chucking. Yep. Gonna try and dial shit in more specifically too with my numbers. So yeah,
I could see that. I've kind of wondered as of lately, we've always kind of sourced, pee from birds, back guano and stuff like that. And I've kind of wondered lately, as I've listened to more and more soil books, a farming book lately, the book Dirt. They were talking about how overpopulating pig farming, the runoff from pig farming was actually bad to the soil because it was so high in P. And I thought, if it's so high in P, how come we're not? And we're running out of natural P, the sources that we're actually farming. How come we're not trying to clean up and use, more sources like that instead of, you know, bird and others, whatnot?
I heard something recently about that. The nitrogen is being depleted. The usable nitrogen is being depleted, not necessarily the P, but the N. And I'm assuming this would apply to other nutrient cycles. And what it has to do with is these creatures that we farm, they don't end up returning to the land. We end up exporting them. So if you have, let's say, an area that has a particular amount of cattle and they're grazing all of that grass, consuming it, and then they're only returning a particular amount, which is not the same amount that they consume because they have to actually burn some for energy and growth. And then they get butchered and served to somebody in three states over. And then that person poops and goes into that particular area's nitrogen storage in their sewage system, which makes it out, cleaned and out to the ocean. And so what's happening is the land is not getting what it should get. And so we're losing a lot of the nutritional value in our vegetables and in our meat. And that's part of it. I read some article about that. I wish I had the reference for everybody, but I don't.
Nice. Good info though. Thank you. So I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask you next. I ask Crack Baby's question is, are you going to get into any extracts?
Yes, I am. I'm going to get after this first harvest, I'm going to get my non-solvent processing license and probably also my solvent processing license because I'd like to make RSO out of alcohol. So working on that. And I've always loved rosin. I honestly dab more than I smoke, but the rig is outside. So I'm just smoking right now. But I love making fire rosin. And I've been taught by some of the best hash makers in the world. And so yeah, we're gonna bring some of that to market too. I'm actually thinking about doing some pre-rolls on this first round with some of the lowers. Just basically, instead of, with lowers, you either get it processed into a hash or you do something creative like pre-rolls. And what I'd like to do is, anything that's got some frost to it is that, not trim. We will not be rolling trim into pre-rolls, but some nugs, some pre-rolls that don't suck. We might call them that.
That'd be pretty fucking good name for him too. It was funny because last night during that episode with Worm Dog, we were talking. Unfortunately, we've talked about living some crazy lifestyles. At one point, unfortunately, he was incarcerated, and so my question was, how was coming back to cannabis, after such a long period? He was like, shit, man, we got it in there and shit. And he kind of described, the kind of joint he would get in there, you know what I mean? He's like, basically, after you would roll a good joint and what was left on the tray You know, basically, we would buy that would be the joint we would get for $10. And I laughed and I thought, man, that's still better than the dispensary joint you would get for $10.
Oh my God, you're so right, dude. How fucking funny is it that prisoners are smoking, better weed than people on the street, getting it from dispensaries? Oh, fuck, dude. You're so right.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking quite comical and sad all at once. But yeah, very true.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the rosin side of things, let me ask you, are we talking rosin hash or hash rosin or flower rosin? Which tack are you kind of taking there?
It would be likely keef rosin, like sift rosin. That's traditionally what I've done with. So I'll take my trim, and I have a Tom's Tumbler. Shout out Tom's Tumbler, great company, great product. This motorized tumbler with a screens on, different size screens for it. One of them is like a hash screen. And the keef, you just put it in there and the trim in there, and the keef will just dump out, and you got to have a collection for it. And yeah, and so we'll take that keef and we will process it. So we try and get that trim keefed and hashed as soon as possible, because it stays better as hash than keef or as trim. And then flower rosin, it just doesn't yield well enough. I'll sometimes make some, but I don't sell it usually. It just doesn't yield well, and it's like waste of resources. And if you're gonna grow fireweed, why squish it? I don't know. I don't want to see it go.
Well, okay. You've kind of said some things. Yes, I agree with some things. I'm like, all right. So, like, this has been one of my bitches with and oh, rosin lately is the fucking hash rosin. I really am starting to feel that that is more over like a sleight of hand by these press companies to fucking make you want to buy these presses. There's so much work that goes into that. Pretty dumb, right? You know what I mean? But they're discounting all the time into fucking making the bubble. Same thing that you just said with the flour. You know what I mean? It's a waste of time. But if you kind of think about you're pressing out of that flour, and then the actual making of the bubble, and then pressing it versus, I bet you it equals out. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. In time, I bet you it
Oh,
makes it.
absolutely.
I think they've kind of just showed you the hash side of things to make you go, oh, that's the way to make it dumb. When in reality, it's the same amount of time. But in my opinion, I think the flower side of things, again, staying to the medical side of cannabis, has more of a benefit. You're not fucking extracting final product. You know what I mean? Why not press that flower and get back to more of a full spectrum medicine? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All the oils, all the terpenes, nothing really lost. I can
Yeah.
appreciate your method though. That is a fucking
Well,
nice. I will buy that. That's a nice middle of the road technique. To be honest with you, you haven't wasted a lot of time sifting. You know what I mean? You haven't lost terpenes to the water. You haven't
right.
lost trichomes overall from handling, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still somewhat whole plant into the squish. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
appreciate that to be a nice middle of the road rosin. Okay. That I can
But,
appreciate.
like, I appreciate flower rosin too. Like, I just, to me, I just, yeah, like I said, I just hate to see it go. Literally, if I put a good ass nug into my rosin press and I squish it, it almost hurts a little bit. It almost hurts a little bit. But I can appreciate somebody who prefers to dab, preferring flower rosin over hash or keef rosin, because that makes sense.
As a hash maker, hash artist, I use that term sparingly. Fucking, I feel the same pain seeing that hash go into the press. It's the same pain. It's the
Yeah.
same pain. Moreover, though, I put work into it. I just didn't harvest the beauty of it. I actually got some elbow grease into it, and then to see it destroyed what I think is already a beautiful, well worked product, to take it and see it, fuck you. I think that's an insult to me, to be honest with you. I'm like,
Well,
oh fuck, man.
but
I
it's
tried
like,
my best.
but then there's the other side of it, right? Where, you can't tell Picasso that his work is not finished, right? But some other artist might go, that's not done. That needs more work. Like, I had a buddy hand me some weed, and it was like, still had some leaves on it. And I was like, cool, man, thanks. And I brought it home, and my wife was like, why didn't he trim it? And I was like, because that's how he likes his weed trimmed. You can't tell Picasso how to paint a picture. You can't tell a grower how to trim his weed, but I don't know. I forgot where I went with that.
I can relate to that. And again, kind of relating to last night's conversation, because it was loud about tattoos. Same thing, man. I've got pictures of tattoos that went in phases. You know what I mean? That where one sitting, it was just black, maybe black and gray. And then next ones we went back and put color, and we talked about expanding. Oh, it might, there's times where I look back at the black, the unfinished side of things and go, man, it was fucking, not that I don't like it now, but man, it was good right then. We could have fucking stopped right there, and I would have been just as happy as what we got going now. You can appreciate both, you know what I mean? I understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a few tattoos, and yeah, man, like, I thought I was going to never do, like black and like non-colored tattoos. And then I ended up with non-colored tattoos, but, fuck, dude, I gotta tell you, I'm barely alive right now. I'm so far past my bedtime. I might finish this bowl and finish up with you here in a little bit, if that's all right.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I'm grateful for whatever I get, man. So, and I understand. We've done talked about this, man. Much respect to you. We're talking to a dude that's carved this piece of fucking earth, building his dream. You know what I mean? I understand, man. Props to you. You're a busy man. Busy man.
I
I
got
understand.
a little more weed
Much
here,
love
so
for you, brother.
yeah, hell yeah. I got a little more weed here to smoke, so I'll pack that up, and then maybe like 10 more minutes or something, and maybe take a couple of questions from chat. I saw 4x4 asked another question about the RSO. He said, does the process of making RSO alone decarb it, or do you have to heat it up to decarb it if you were going to consume it as an edible? How do most people go about using RSO? Yeah, it decarbs in the process. And you would usually eat it or put it on your skin. Or, I mean, there are people who dab it, but that's wild shit. I wouldn't dab RSO.
So I'd like to run with that one a little bit, because again, as I've come through and learned in my cannabis journey, uh, as much as anything in life, you should take that with intent. What is your intent with the RSO? Is it more of a medicine? Are you recreationally using it? You know what I mean? What is the end goal there? uh, is how you should approach that. And how, lately I've kind of thought the sorbet method I thought was the best, kind of putting it in a bag and kind of bringing it into temperature, but locking everything in there. So the terpenes and everything can be still, as much as you can take, can be trapped in there in that decarb process. Do I think you necessarily need to do it? No, especially when you're making edibles with it. You're going to bring it up to temperature through the RSO or the process anyway. And then once it's entered into your edibles, you're going to take it through another decarboxylation process. I barely got that one out. Anyway, so why make it a threefold and destroy much of the, each time you take it up to that temperature, you're degrading what we'll call a medicine anyway. So why bring it up to a 3 point and destroy more of the medicine throughout? And then there's a
Yes.
process I've kind of thought about lately too, Mr. ATG, is the process of in making it as well. We've talked about a lot, the quick wash, basically trying to eliminate that green or chlorophyll in your RSO. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's always been viewed as a nay. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But the more I thought about it, the more research I've done, I'm starting to think that's a no-no. Maybe you want that green out if you're gonna dab it, if you're gonna take it as far as a dabbing material, or you're gonna use it possibly as a recreational high where you want to stay more awake and buzzed. But I think if you want it more as a medicine, you want that chlorophyll in there. Think about it. What's that chlorophyll going to do for you? It's going to
Well,
bring on more of a heavier sleep. It's going to promote red blood cells, and it's going to help clean your liver. And
okay.
again, we're talking about it as a medicine. So why wouldn't we want that in there? More time for your body to rest, more time for your blood to clean, more ability for your blood to clean. So why
There's
would we want to
one
eliminate that out?
I can't argue with any of that. I'll say this though. There's one reason why I've had patients request less to have product with no chlorophyll in it, because it hurts their stomach potentially. Just a general kind of like too much. It's almost like concentrating plant matter. So in that respect, such a good thing you brought that up, because I actually have a really cool old school technique to get chlorophyll out of your final product, even if you have a long wash. And that is, get yourself some mason jars while your product is in liquid form. So it's like, green, bright green liquid or dark green liquid. Put that out in the sun in a clear mason jar on a bright sunny day, and let the sun hit it for like 5 to 10 hours. It'll be brown. And what's going on is the chlorophyll is breaking down, and so it can be easier on people's stomach for that reason, and you can still get the dynamic compound of a long wash.
Thank you for that, brother. Thank you for that. Because
Old
I have
old
some right here that this is some RSO right here that I made a while back ago that I left some in the alcohol. You know what I mean? I thought, hey, someday I'll do a shot of that. You know what I mean? And this most certainly
Oh,
had green material or green color to it. And as it's sitting around in the light, it's turned that brown. And I've wondered, it's not sedating or what in there. You just kind of gave me my explanation of what
that's
just
it,
happened.
dude. That's it. It's breaking down. UV breaks that shit down, dude. And it makes the best fucking RSO. You know what? I'm gonna eat some RSO right now. I'm gonna take a glob of this stuff that we, brought from California allegedly.
That stuff always
Oh
can
yeah.
fucking make for a nice sleep right there. Right to the tongue, you're man. Not many people enjoy that. I actually love the flavor of cannabis. It can, vary from a little peppery to whatever. But man, I don't know. I'm sick like that, I guess. Obviously, you are as well.
I am. I'm a sick puppy, dude. It's just worth it for it's like the first few times it was disgusting. And then I was like, I mean, it's not that bad. And now it's like, ooh, yeah, a little bit of RSO, that would be delicious.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm ingesting all my chemicals. I got my beer. I usually drink about a beer a night. I think I've told you that in the past, which is exactly what this is, the one beer. Had my beer, got my RSO, got my bowl, and I am up way past my bedtime. We are getting fucked up.
Partying with man. I'm not a drinker, man. I haven't had a drink in such a long time. And I often wonder fucking what this would be like to kick this back, how fucked up I would be. But this is only, I believe, like 2 shots of alcohol, and but I know there's a shitload of cannabis in here. It would probably be one day off right there.
How much RSO do you think is in that shot? Like if you were to,
a lot. A lot. This was a heavy oil producing batch right here. All from fucking some good flour. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of oil.
Hell yeah, dude. I one time took some whiskey and I just squeezed a syringe right into the thing and shook it up, real nice. And anytime I'd have company, we'd take a shot of that. Oh my goodness,
I've thought about
that
doing
should
it
be
on the
illegal,
air,
dude.
but out of I've thought about taking the shot this on air, but I'm afraid of looking like a fool. I thought, no.
Do it right now, and then we're gonna get off in 10 minutes, and you can look like a fool in the mirror.
Oh no, they'll want the weed nerd world go fucking kick on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In the weed nerd world.
I forgot.
I've seen the fucking ass. I've seen people do the RSO on the show, and you can see it. I don't care how many times you've taken it, man. You can take it. You're like, yeah, my bright eye bushy tail. Hour and a half into it, it's like, got you, did it? Kicking in, yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. It's like when it kicks in, it's like, oh, brain not working anymore. Yeah, which is a great thing, It's like some of us need a nice off switch at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's funny, I forgot though, you do man. That shit does it. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it sounded like I was cutting you off. Sorry about that.
Oh, I was gonna say that it did get me like that one time, man. I took some during again related back to the ink during a foot tattoo at the top of my feet. I took some RSO, and they could halfway through. They're like, "You all right? Hanging in there?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" They're like, "Because you're starting to slur." I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I didn't even feel like having full conversation or what I'm trying to have conversation anyway during it. They're like, "Yeah, you're slurred, dude."
Oh, that's funny. Dude. Yeah, good RSO, man. Oh man, it's equivalent of, drinking a couple of shots, it's like, dong. But it's better than, I have really bad insomnia. Like that's part of my self-medication is I'll just, if I'm not smoking or don't have access to RSO, dude, I'll stay up for one whole night, and then the next night it'll be like till 4 a.m. and then I'll sleep till 6 a.m. Like I am a wreck without cannabis. So I really haven't missed a beat since I quit for a year when I was 16, but before that, I mean, from 14 to now, every day, all day, baby.
I can appreciate that, man. Oh yeah. Well, I do believe our 10 minutes is probably winding up, and we still got a few more things to go over yet. So the Zoom link, I think you figured this out by now. The Zoom link that I did send you is always good, brother. I understand you're a busy man, but anytime that you're up, maybe can't sleep, fucking feel the need, you hear a noise and you grab that shotgun and you check the plans and you can't get back to sleep and you want to fucking just come hang out with the weed nerds. If it's open, man, we'd love to have you, man. There's tons of us in the community that have a whole lot of respect for you and what you've got going and what you've accomplished, man. It's not easy to start over, and you've publicly started over and are killing it. So, hell yeah. That's all I got to say to that. Hell yeah. Much respect for you, brother, for making the dream come true, man. It gives the rest of us hope, man.
Thanks, bro. That means a lot. That's everything to me. The most important thing to me is inspiring other people to pull themselves out of bad situations and really get the optimum you, see what you're capable of, put everything on the line and give it a go. And cheers to Eagle for really being an inspiration in the community. And ever since I first saw your show, I was inspired. I look back at some of the videos that I did with you early on, and it was like, man, you and I have both come so far that it's really cool. We're like really a part of this historical movement in this industry, and so is everybody in the chat and everybody that's a part of this. It's really cool. I guess this would be a good opportunity for me to give my final sign offs and let you get to your weed nerds. And so I am Aaron the Grower. I really appreciate everybody that jumped on tonight and had some things to say and some questions. And if I didn't get to your question, if I missed it, feel free to shoot me a DM, ATG Acres on Instagram, or you can shoot me an email. You go straight to my direct email if you go to my website, atgacres.com, or go over there and get yourself a t-shirt, plant packers, stickers. Like I said, 10% off for anybody who's watching this. Just shoot me a DM and I'll give you that discount code. I want it to be real. I want to know you really want it. So shoot me a message and I'll give it out. And yeah, other than that, check out Cheap Home Grow podcast every Sunday. I'm trying to get on there more often. I just did one this last Sunday that I've gotten a lot of messages, people saying that it was really inspirational for them to see my garden and see what I've done. And so, yeah, I look forward to doing another episode with you, Eagle, sometime soon. And we'll do an update and maybe take you in the garden, and maybe I'll do a garden episode. I just need better internet in there. It doesn't work very well. So I'm working on getting a booster and getting all that done.
Right now. And I will take that as a general sign off. But there's one thing I need, buddy, is that fucking that soundbite. The soundbite for me. my version. Hey, this is Eagle, and I'm on fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 628. Even though I fucked that up in the beginning and said 627, it is really 628. I am ready, Mr. ATG, anytime you are.
What's up? This is ATG. You are watching episode one. What was it?
628.
Oh shit, 628. I'm so fucked up. Anyway, you're watching episode 628. This is fucking talking shit with Eagle, and we're having a great fucking time.
Hell yeah. Perfect one, man. Thank you so much, man. Always a pleasure hanging out with you, my friend. And I hope everybody does check you out Sundays, 7 o'clock. Look for you. If anything else, just tune in for some great information. And if you can catch this gentleman on some leisure time, giving you some great info, what a pleasant bonus as well. So, with that being said, thank you very much for coming and hanging out, man. And I sincerely do have a lot of respect for you, brother, watching you dream unfold there. You know, I wish everybody the best. And when I see it actually come into fruition, like I'm watching it unfold for you there, it really warms my heart. Really does.
Well,
So
likewise.
I wish you continued prosperity until the next time we talk and beyond. But let's talk again soon, my friend.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Eagle. And thanks for having me. And thanks, chat. And look forward to it.
With that being said, you guys empty your batters, fill your trays, and I will see you guys in the Weed Nerd world here in a few minutes. If not, then hopefully you guys know the deal. Random acts of kindness do save lives. Do not forget to do